Alright, we're going to try to make a video about my super sensory oddities. I don't know how to explain this, other than I just have, a lot of times growing up and as I've gone throughout life, I find that my senses are telling me things a little differently than what everyone else is seeing their sensory abilities are telling them. And sometimes mine seems either more sensitive or like I can detect smaller things, more specific things, like, you know, kind of like a superpower, like I can, like a radar, like a stronger radar, and I think because of that, sometimes I also just have a more severe reaction, even physiological. I just want to preface this, you know, you can, I think you can grow up with these issues and just be a kid that, like I was just a very independent kid, and I didn't know that these things were like, that everyone didn't have these things. I would just thought about it as learning about the world. This is that, and I like this, and there's that, and this is hot. And then as I would begin to experience the world around other people, I would see that not everyone was having the same reactions that I was having. But you just find ways to deal with it, and I'll talk about that too. So let's get rolling for this fun video, this fun talk today. Okay, so the first one, I don't really have this issue anymore because I think they make socks better, but I think when I was younger, we got really cheap socks where they were sewed at the end or something, and the roll was really thick, and they would have these like extensions of the sewn part of the sock, and so when you pulled the sock inside out or right side out, it would bunch up on both ends of the toe, of the pinky toe and the big toe. And this used to drive me crazy. It didn't drive me crazy as much if I was just wearing socks, but if I was wearing socks and shoes, oh my gosh, it would drive me crazy. And I tried to be creative. I tried flipping my socks inside out. At one time I tried snipping them off, snipping off like the tails, but then it would unravel, and I really just had holes in my socks, so that didn't work. And then I eventually started pulling my socks a little bit forward, and I would wrap them under my toes so that the huge seam would fold into like the gap underneath my toes, and that was more comfortable for me than to feel those things on the outside of my feet around my pinky toes. But I don't notice it anymore. I think they're better at socks now. I also have the wooden stick on your teeth thing. I just can't, it's like popsicles. I can't even think about pressing my teeth into a wooden stick. I'm very, very careful with popsicles. I can't press my lips too much on them, just pulling wood through my wet lips. That sounded really... Alright, guys. Okay. What else is next? Oh, yeah, I have a toothbrush that was made of like bamboo, and even that's challenging. I try not to touch my teeth with it, because it just gives me shivers. And anyway, let's go on. I was also a condiment person. I could not do condiments. I hated condiments. I just didn't understand why people wanted all of their food to taste goopy and to change the taste of their food. I like tasting all the things in my food, and I don't know why everyone wanted them to taste like ketchup and mustard because they were so potent. And mayonnaise is just this sour, vinegary. I can't stand vinegary things, like vinegary, like goopiness, just adding goopiness to, I didn't like that. I was very against condiments and salad dressing. I can't do that. It's like eating sloppy grass. Like, that's gross. But I would just find my way. I would just like, okay, so we're having salad. So I would just, for the longest time, I just ate dry salads. And then I would start to like pour olive oil on it. And I like that, and things like that. So. And just so you don't have to be like a whiny person necessarily if you have sensory issues. I think there's kind of a stereotype that sensitive people have to be you're really just constantly adapting. I've always thought of myself as like a traveler, and I'm constantly like gaining new weapons or molding my outfit or gaining new like tools and abilities, so that I can go through life. Gosh, I'm so stupid and dorky. Okay, can't take that out. But I don't like editing, man. I tried to do 3 other videos today thinking, oh, and then they all sucked. I just rambled so poorly through them, and I said way too many times. And then I tried to edit it because I have this editing software, but I just can't stand editing. I can't. It's too, I don't have the patience, and I just feel like it's inauthentic somehow. I feel bad about it sometimes, and so I just don't do it now. And this is how I want to do it anyway, and I'd only edit for the pleasure of other people. So screw that. Let's move on. So in my neck of the woods, every year for some reason around Halloween, the fire truck would come through certain neighborhoods where there were lots of families, and they would, it was after Thanksgiving, because Santa was on it. I was so confused. Sometime during the holidays, and Santa would be at the top of the fire truck throwing bags of, honestly, cheap candy, but candy to the kids, and they come out in their pajamas to the sidewalk, and everyone got to look at the cool fire truck, but they would just pull on their horn the whole time, and I just couldn't. Oh my gosh, it was so painful. It was just all I could. I stayed inside and tried to look out the window while covering my ears, while and I would just look at the other kids and think, how can they just stand there? They're just standing there, and they are fine, and they don't. Isn't that too loud? Oh my gosh, it's so loud. And but I didn't make a big deal. I would just opt to stay inside, and then when they left, I'd go out and grab candy or something. So the same thing with fire drills. I can't. They're way too loud. I'm the person walking around like this just because otherwise it hurts, and it just stirs up my brain. I can't think of anything else, and it's painful. It's terrible. So I'm just doing this and then trying to focus on what I see and just use that. So sounds like a baby. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's normal now. I don't know what's normal to everybody else. I can't stand collars. I can't stand things that are tied around my neck. I sometimes, during the winter, I like scarves, but I wear them loosely around my neck, and I like things that they can hang sometimes back here, but they have to be open up here around my neck. I can't even wear crew neck t-shirts. That's why a lot of my t-shirts are cut just a little bit more so the neck is open. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. This shirt's fine, but I can't stand it when shirts cut underneath my arms, real tight. I can't stand it when they make a lot of girls' clothes with really tight arms and just squeezing your arms the whole time. I can't stop thinking about it. It drives me crazy. I also I change clothes 5 or 6 times throughout the day. I've always been like this. When I was younger and I was a teenager, it was acceptable because it worked with my lifestyle, because I was very active and involved in a lot of different things. And so I would have to change clothes here and then change clothes for that because I was all sweaty and then whatever. And then as an adult, you live by yourself, and so people aren't clocking what you wear really, but I do just change clothes all the time because I just want to be comfortable for what I'm doing. For some reason, I also just get tired of the way clothes fit me a lot. It'll feel comfortable when I put it on, and then after a while, I just can't stop thinking about the way certain things about them hug me or touching me or rubbing me or the wrong way or how they feel. Even if it's just I just can't stop thinking about the way it feels. And so so I'll change clothes, and just to have a different thing that stimulates my body in a different way for a while and that's why I really love clothes. I love it when I find a piece of clothing that I just seem to be really comfortable with, and there's nothing about it. Pants are really, really hard. And that's why I just wear tights a lot. But even then, I have to change sometimes because if I wear them too long, I don't know if I just have bigger calves than a normal person my size, but it just feels like they're squeezing my calves and I can't get over it. I'm going to stop talking about my clothes now. But again, this is just something that that's why I just took care of myself. It's not, I always had a backpack with me. I have a rucksack. I have a backpack for everything. I have a backpack for my washboard, a rucksack for just general self-care purpose items. I've always loved big duffel bags and backpacks, and I always was just lugging them around to work, through college, through in high school, and so I would just fill it with all the clothes that I needed. And I just went and changed and whatever, who cares? It's my thing that I have to live with. So, changing clothes all day. Yeah, I can't wear turtlenecks and things like that. I don't understand how people can wear wool. I love wool because it's so warm, but I don't understand why they make something and don't condition it that it will itch you. Like, how do people just wear wool stuff? You're supposed to wear something under it, but I don't know. It's hard to wear layers sometimes if they don't fit well, and wool tends to, like, not fall. It kind of hold itself up, and so it can't really blend or fall into the shirt that you're wearing underneath it, and it's just the whole system. It's a whole... Ugh. Okay, let's move on. This is really fun, isn't it? Just the whole thing, too, about wearing the clothes goes into... being too hot or too cold. I just really, I seem to be really sensitive to that. I just have more severe reactions. Like, I'll just start sweating profusely, or I'll just start shivering. I shave. I prefer to shave every time I shower. I don't shower every day, but I do, even during the winter when I'm always wearing pants, I always shave, ever since I've started shaving, just because I can't stand the way my unshaven legs feel underneath my pants. It drives me crazy. It feels like I have ants under there itching me the whole time, every time I move, and just like with their legs clinging to me that are my hairs, and it just drives me crazy. I can't. One night in high school, a girl invited me over, and she tried to paint my fingernails, and I could not stand it. I can't stand the way fingernail polish feels on my nails. I can't stop thinking about it. It never feels comfortable. It feels like I'm wearing caps on my nails. So these, I haven't really complained about this to many people. So you guys are getting a really special treat, everyone. Same thing with, like, you see, I adjust my hat a lot. That's because it'll start to bother me. I can't wear my hair in the same exact style for long periods of time, like for hours on end, because I'll start to get a headache from the way it's pulling, or just my hair constantly being in the same spot and being shaped that way and pulling on my scalp that way, or just sitting on my head in that way, and so I have to change it a lot, and I wear my hats very loosely because otherwise I'll start to get a headache because they'll press on my temples, and so I like really loose hats, like loose sock hats that don't push and cling on your head, and unless I have a migraine, and then I try to make my hat really tight, and I pull it way down on my eyebrows, and it feels really good. So let's move on. We talked about a lot of stuff in here. Let's go on. I talked about that. I'm doing good. I can't handle strobe lights. No, thank you. I just have to close my eyes or leave. Oh my, it's too much. Like, I can't handle them. Like, I can't think. I can't, like, it's so unpleasant that it's jarring to me. And I just know I have to get out. I can't stay there, or I need to close my eyes, and, it's weird, but other people seem to not have an issue with them, and they just party in them and stuff. I also can't stand, like, that way that feels like that subwoofers feel, like people who have them in their cars, and you feel that vibration in your body, and like in like a club. I can't. It's just way too much for me. I feel like that it's lifting me off the floor, and it's very unpleasant. It's really strange. It just feels like all of my energy is gonna be vibrated apart and bust apart, and maybe that's what some people find pleasurable, but to me it's so strong that it feels unpleasurable. And so let's just move on here. There's so many things. Sometimes in the bright daylight, I feel like the sun is just so bright, just a normal daylight, and like, what is wrong with me? Am I just too sensitive to the sun? So I like things like hats and sunglasses, even though when I was younger I didn't like sunglasses because it changed the way, it changed the way the color of the world was, and it put like a lens between me and the world, and I felt like my perspective was off. And but I would squint all the time, but when I would squint as a kid, I would do like this, and then everyone thought I was smiling all the time, and really I was just squinting in the sun. There's this fun story. So, I'm one of those people that can't handle the difference in car window pressure. If it's like some kind of awkward where all the windows are closed except one is slightly open and there's that weird vibration. It's so, it's really unpleasant. And it feels like my eardrum's gonna burst open. I do have tinnitus, like a constant ringing in my left ear. And I also have, like, I don't know what it's called, or it's just different form of tinnitus, but it's like that constant white noise in my left ear as well. It started like in my early 20s, and the doctors did all kinds of tests and stuff, and then just didn't know, and they said it just happens sometimes, and they don't know why. Hearing on my left side isn't as strong. I think everything's coming from my right side, which doesn't help with, like, being able to orient according to sound, like where it's coming from. And but on the other hand, my right ear, I guess, had like widened its array, like its ability to, like, it could hear softer things, louder things, well, of course louder things, but higher things and lower things. It had, like, compensated because of the deficit in this ear. I wonder if that's still true, because that was like over 10 years ago when I had that done. But anyway. I cannot stand, oh my gosh, and I feel so bad, and I try not to say anything, but I can't stand men's cologne, men's deodorant, strong potpourri smells, musky, strong, perfumey smells. Literally, I start to get nauseous, and I can only take it, and I'll just start, like, visibly, like, I start to get green, and I just can't take it. A lot of the products I have are, I love stuff that just doesn't have any smell. Now, it has to be completely fragrance free, not like some weird chemical smell. But that's just because I find it's easier on my skin. I tend to have sensitive skin. It breaks out and reacts to stuff, and I just will smell stuff all day, and I'll just, it'll start to bother my brain and make me sick. Like, it wants it to go away. I think my grandma's always worn a certain perfume that when I get trapped in a car with her and it gets hotboxed in that car, ever since I was young, and I really tried to tell Dad over and over again, and tried to really portray that I was being honest and not trying to be difficult, but I couldn't. It was so hard for me to ride in Grandma's car because I would just get nauseous so fast, and then suddenly all the turning and stuff would just make me feel real sick, because she had this weird perfume in her car. It was terrible, and it's still in her cars to this day, so I don't know what it is. But I can't, but I love it. My grandma was so sweet. Okay, let's go on. Let's see. I'm not ticklish. Isn't that weird? At the same time, I'm not ticklish. I tried to like focus and see if I could do it, like get into it, and I would, like, especially in high school when you were a freshman, all the boys got into this thing where it was like a thing. Like, literally all the boys would do it all. I'm like, all of the boys are doing this like it's a fad, and I was like, should I try to, they started doing it to me. They would go around and just poke girls in the side, and lots of boys didn't even understand that they were being too hard. Like, I always thought, like, I was just like, why are you hitting me? That hurts. Like, oh, I'm like, yeah, you hit me really hard right between my wrists, and it doesn't tickle. I don't understand. I'm not ticklish there. Things that people do, like they squeeze below your knees and stuff, I don't, I guess that you can kind of be focused and certain, if you're relaxed enough, you can get kind of a pleasurable sensation, but I don't know. So there's that. But that's kind of upsetting. I always thought people look like they're having so much fun. I wish I was more ticklish. I love it. I just look at people with envy, and I just watch all these different people, the way they express themselves so differently when they're being tickled, but then it looks so like something's overcoming them, like it's involuntary. And I just think I'll never know what that's like. Well, I mean, when it comes to being tickled. Let's go on. So, I have perfect vision. I can see at 20 feet what most people have to stand at 10 feet to see, which is strange. Just some cool thing for having all these weird specifications. I can't take it, even though sometimes I can't control the volume of my voice, especially when I get excited, or if, like, just zoned in on some, I don't know, talking. And at the same time, I can't cope very well with people yelling at me. When I have one person, or especially multiple people, just start intensely talking to you or yelling at you all at the same time, I tend to, it's really hard for me to either not just leave, I just leave, or just to explode. And it's like I can't control it. It's like I go into that mode, it's like a separation mode, where now I feel like I'm in a robot, and I'm just it's like survival, and it's just fight or flight. I didn't really realize it, but yeah, and it's almost like you're separate from yourself, and I know that they don't know what I'm thinking, and so they're all just continuing to talk to me, and all it is just making it worse and worse, and then I just let them have it, and or I just leave, and everyone's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm just like, "I need a second." And I come back down. I'm like, "Okay, so what were you saying? One at a time, please." And it's just, I just get overwhelmed. When I was in high school, I would sometimes just tell Dad that he would hear me crying, and when I was a teenager, and he would knock on the door after I was done, and he'd be like, "Are you okay?" And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." And he's like, "Are you sure?" And I would be like, "Yeah, Dad, sometimes I just have so much emotion, and I just feel it's building up so much. I just feel so overwhelmed that I just need to let it out. And once I let it out, I feel good, and then I can just move on, and I feel better." He's like, "Okay." Like, I think I was just trying to, just dealing with stress and being overwhelmed. So anyway, but I would just do that secretly. I just did it because I knew that I always felt better after crying. And so I would just, like, when I got home, I would go to my bedroom and close the door and cry for a little bit, and then come back out with flush water on my face. And I was fine. Like, there's nothing specific had happened. I might have had a good day. Like, everything went off well, but it was just these things don't sound so weird until you talk about them. So you say them, I don't know if I've really said that before to someone. Anyway, live brain monologue, you guys got to witness there. Let's skip that one. That one's gonna sound too adult. Okay. I don't like goopy things. I'm not gonna swallow goopy things. It's disgusting. I can't. I'm gonna gag it. So, and that goes for all kinds of things. And so, but just fine. Just spit that stuff out. At the same time, I'm not squeamish. I'm fine with blood, vomit, stool, urine. I don't understand logically why people, and stereotypically for some reason, females are afraid of other living creatures, like inherently, like mice and snakes and insects. I don't see what the difference is between any other living creature that's not human in these things, and why would they suddenly be so much more frightened, especially since these things are so much smaller than they are, I understand that's not just size, but still, so I'm cool. It's not like I'm like squeamish. It's strange. Back to the just kind of being overwhelmed, like with sense just being throughout the day, just kind of being sensorily overwhelmed. I've gone through times where I would live in just this hoarder's like organized collection of all of my memories and things and belongings I've had since I was a baby, and then at other times, and that was mainly when I was growing up, and then when I became an adult, and oh my gosh, and then when I became an adult and I left home, my aesthetic, but that's really what I mean, has always been very ascetic. Wordplay. But it's always been very simple, and I didn't really realize it till I thought back on it. But like my very favorite apartment was my senior year at IU in Bloomington, where I got to live in this it was like a really old building that was part of like the original campus or whatever, and it used to be a school building, but now it was used for graduate family housing, and I was an older student, so I got to be housed there even though I was an undergrad. And my apartment was this tiny, it was a studio, but it was this tiny room with a closet that was converted into a studio with this weird closet into a restroom at the end of the closet. And it was just this, like, that classroom white tile with painted white, like, square stone or bricks, whatever that is, on the walls in classrooms. And I loved it, and I had this giant window because it was a classroom, and it faced out onto all these bushes and trees, and the sun would shine through them, and I wouldn't even use lights, and I would just let the sun fill this white, echoey room, and with all these dancing shadows, and at night I had a little desk lamp, and all I had in this apartment was one wooden dresser that was like 4 feet tall, and like 3 feet wide, and that was against one wall, and then in front of the window, the giant window, was just like a cheap wooden circular kind of kitchen table with 4 wooden chairs, like I got at like a Goodwill or something, and then against the other wall was just a twin mattress on the floor, just the mattress, and with like a pillow and blanket, and that was, and then like behind there where like the office what had been in the classroom, they made it into like a tiny little kitchenette. But that was my favorite place. That was my favorite of all of my apartments that I've lived in. But that was the environment that I liked. It was so calming to me, and I just would come back from classes and being out in the world, just come back and just live this quiet little hilarious life, just very quiet, and I would just live at this little simple wooden table and do all of my nerdy stuff, and I just loved school. So anyway, this was about sensory sensitivity. So those are ones that I thought of. I started to jot those down and share those today. Again, this is just part of my new kind of thing where I liked every now and then posting a video about my individuality and things that have normally made one feel weird, but just kind of putting them out there, hoping that someone else that can relate will not feel so weird, because yeah. So thanks, guys.